is up, Cowboys Nation? Another episode, and it's going to be a banger. I'm your co-host, Eric Berger. With me, as always, Charlie Moffitt. And the man, the myth, the legend. You may know him from his iconic Twitter handle, profile pic, countless articles over countless websites such as The Athletic, SI, Landry Hat, just to name a few. He's current managing editor of the Raiders Wire for USA Today. He's the host of the Locked On Cowboys podcast on the Locked On Network. And Mr. Running Backs Don't Matter, OG in the house, Marcus Mosher. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Guys. I'm really excited to show off the nice running backs don't matter mug because I've got a feeling we're going to be talking about that today.
Love it.
Yeah, let's jump right into it, man. We're big fans of you, and having you on, it's kind of like a I don't know. You have to have running backs don't matter as a topic, right? You have to talk about why. First question I want to ask you is I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here a little bit. So say you're on like a social media platform such as Twitter or something. You only got 140 characters or however many it is now these days to explain to somebody why they don't matter. How would you do it?
Well, the short version is part of the reason they don't matter is that there's so many good ones, right? Because there's just this supply of running backs that are coming into the league every year that don't have a lot of touches on them, and you can use their rookie contracts up on them. That's a big reason why they don't matter. But just really quickly, I want to go back to where it started, at least for me, for running backs don't matter, because it might be a little bit different for everybody, right? For me, it actually started with the Denver Broncos in the early 2000s, right? When Mike Shanahan was putting a ton of different guys in that backfield, and they were all producing, whether it was Clinton Portis, whether it was Mike Anderson or Alandis Gary or whoever they put in that backfield, they all produced. And that got me thinking, okay, if Mike Shanahan can put anybody in this backfield, why would you ever spend a top pick on this guy? Why would you ever spend a ton of money? Obviously, they had Terrell Davis before that, and he was really good, obviously, as well, made the Hall of Fame. And then the Shanahans kind of continued that all the way through the 2000s. Now, I think his son Kyle Shanahan kind of adopts that philosophy in San Francisco. And you saw it in their run to the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. Whether it was Raheem Mostert, who was a 7th-round pick who played for a bunch of teams, whether it's Matt Breida, whether it's Jeff Wilson, whoever they have in that backfield is productive. And for the Cowboys, we've seen over the last 2 decades, they've gotten really good production out of Ezekiel Elliott, of course, but they got really great production from DeMarco Murray, a 3rd-round pick. They got great production from Marion Barber, a 4th-round pick. Heck, they got great production from Tashard Choice, who was a 5th-round pick. So you don't need to spend a lot to have a good running back, and I think that's just kind of scratching the surface of why running backs don't really matter.
Not quite 140 characters, but we'll take it.
I gave you the short ones because there's so many of them, right?
It's so many, right? And then let's talk about some of the stats or the analytics that go into it. What are your go-to stats to kind of not necessarily prove anything or anything, but show others that they're not exactly needle movers. You can even be the greatest running back in the league, and you don't really move the needle.
Well, I think it's a couple of things, right? If you look at the yards per carry across the NFL, it's all pretty much the same, right? So no matter if you have an Ezekiel Elliott or if you have a Jordan Howard, for the most part, you're averaging somewhere between 4.2 and 4.7 a carry, right?
Sure.
Maybe the better running teams are averaging closer to 4.7, the worst are averaging close to 4.2. But the thing that really stands out to me when I do all this research is a yards per carry isn't based on the running back. It isn't really even based on the defense. It's based on the personnel, right? If you're using 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and a running back, across the NFL, you're going to average 4.9 yards a carry. That's just the way it is because there's only 6 guys typically in the box in defense. If you go into a scheme that you're running 3 tight ends a lot, of course your yards per carry is going to be lower. So it just how well a running back performs, it depends on what personnel groups the offensive coordinator decides to use. And then on top of that, your quarterback, right? Because we've seen now when Ezekiel Elliott, for example, has Dak Prescott under center, he's very productive. When he doesn't have Dak Prescott under center, he's way worse. That shouldn't happen. If running backs truly mattered, you shouldn't see that big of, basically a yard per carry difference in his production.
Yeah, this is like football porn for me, man. This is just fucking great. But anyways, no, the personnel grouping, that was part of my explanation when I try to explain to people. Running backs to me are dependent on multiple things, but two things is your offensive line. Mm-hmm. You got to have a good one. And your personnel group that you run out of. And I try to explain that to people all the time. When you run out 11 personnel, it's hard for teams to stack the box because if you bring that safety down, you're leaving 3 wide receivers one-on-one. If you run 12 personnel, 13 personnel, all you're doing is bringing in a stacked box. I mean, the defense don't even have to try. It's a natural stacked box. 21 personnel, stuff like that. And that's what I try to explain to people all the time. So,
and can I just say really quickly, I think the argument for running backs don't matter gets convoluted in a lot of different ways. But first and foremost, when we say running backs don't matter, that doesn't necessarily mean the running game itself matters, right? Because I do think running the ball matters. I think you need to be able to run the ball well. It's just the player that's doing the running doesn't really matter, right? You can put a number of guys back there, and there's not a big difference. Like if one running back averages 4.6 yards a carry and the other averages 4.4, does that really matter all that much in the big grand scheme of things? Does that 0.2 matter? I'm not paying $10 million more per year for that 0.2 yards per carry difference.
Sure, especially when you have like a Zeke and a Pollard with not even $1 million towards the cap, and then you've got a $12 to $15 million hit, and you're really getting you can find that 80 to 90% of that production for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of times there's no rhyme or reason to which one of these running backs is better than the other, right? I mean, we saw last year there's games where Tony Pollard looked better. There's games where Ezekiel Elliott looked better. So why would you ever want to spend that much money at a position that is very replaceable? And I think that's just what it comes down to. Of all the positions in football, running back is the most replaceable, so why not spend your assets and your resources elsewhere?
Yeah. See, this makes me feel better because everything you're saying is everything I've said. So that makes me feel like I at least putting in a decent argument against it. I know Bluff City Cowboys, he was on there earlier when you was talking, he said, that's Charlie. Because that's what I've explained to people too. A bunch of times when I say running backs don't matter or I say pass is greater to run, that really upsets people. And their automatic response is, what are we supposed to do? Throw it 70 times a game? And I'm like, no, dipshit, that's not what I'm saying. I said, what I'm saying is that it's just more efficient to pass the ball. I'm not saying don't run it. There are certain situations you run the ball. Short yardage situations, goal line situations, fourth quarter when you have the lead, to consume some clock. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying the specific running back to me isn't important. It's not a huge difference in who you have.
Well, I would also say this, Charlie, until the NFL, until defenses basically force you to run the ball, yeah, it makes sense to pass more because across the NFL, even last year, with all the backup quarterbacks that played, with all the injuries we had, we saw quarterbacks average over 7 yards per attempt. Again, I want to mention this again. Across the NFL, on rushing attempts was 4.5 yards. I mean, I'm not great at math, but it just seems like it'd be more beneficial to throw the ball more, right? Until defenses are willing to say, hey, we're only going to put 5 guys in the box because we want to stop the pass. We do not want to give up 8 yards an attempt. Please go ahead and run the ball and get 5-6 yards an attempt. I think that's when things might change or become a little bit more balanced and when you do want to see a higher run to pass split. But with the way defenses are constructed now, it really doesn't make sense to try to aim for that 50-50 split unless you're in the fourth quarter and you're just grinding out the clock, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I think the worst passer gets more yards per reception than the best rusher.
Yeah. I mean, you can find the worst quarterback in the league last year. Right. Their yards per attempt were better than the best running back in the league. Now, there are some things that we need to factor in. There's sacks, offensive holding calls, and you can look at adjusted net yards per attempt, and that helps even things out a little bit. But for the most part, your average quarterback, let's say 14 to 18, is going to average 3 yards more per passing attempt than the best running back in the league would average per carry.
Yeah. Thanks. Marcus D. Jones, Bluff City Cowboys, he does a podcast. He's great. He's one of my favorites. I'm going to ask a question. He has asked Moshe that he thinks there's a defense equivalent on defense side in terms of being interchangeable at a position. Like,
that's a good question.
This is really interesting because I have one. I want to know what your take is.
I I challenge you guys to go to linebackersdon'tmatter.com because you'll be surprised to see that redirects right to my Twitter account.
Is it true that you own that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, that's great.
However, I will say this: linebacker, I value that more than running backs. However, like the running back position, I think there's a lot of linebackers in today's NFL. I think these linebackers, the shelf life of them is no longer what we used to see, right? Like when we saw like Ray Lewis in the early 2000s, that's somebody who played for 15 years. Now the best linebackers in the league are lasting 7, 8 years. What, Luke Kuechly retired after 8 years. Patrick Willis retired after 9 years.
Yeah.
They just don't last because they have to take on so much contact. I think it's wise to draft those guys, let them hit free agency, regain that comp pick, and just keep investing in it through the draft and just not spend big money on that position.
Yep, that was mine. Linebackers.
Yeah, the only way I would try to defend off the ball linebackers if they're green dot players. If they've got a mic in their helmets, then I want them to be, I want to spend a little bit more on those guys because I think that's a big part of their game, being cerebral and running that defense.
And guys that can cover really well.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Guys that can play in space and can cover really well. I certainly value those more than your traditional Mike linebacker that comes downhill and takes on blocks because those guys just don't last very long. But I do agree with you. There are, I would say, like 10 to 15 linebackers in the league that really matter, and then everybody else is about the same.
Yeah.
All right. And there you go, Marcus. You got your answer.
Two-part.
Marcus D. Jones, not Marcus Mosher.
Two-part question. Money, salary, draft capital aside, Zeke or Tony Pollard? And then second part, since you're the managing editor for the Raiders Wire on USA Today, Jacobs or Zeke?
I'll start with that one because that one's easier to me. Josh Jacobs is the young version of Ezekiel Elliott. He doesn't have the same wear and tear on his body. I think he's a little bit better pass catcher than what Ezekiel Elliott is. Zeke has dropped a lot of passes, man, and that's something that he needs to fix. But Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, I love the big plays from Tony Pollard. I love the splashes that he can bring. It's really, really close. I'll probably take Zeke because I think he's better as a pass protector than Pollard, and I think that's enough to push him over the edge. But I would not be surprised, fellas, by week 5, week 6, if the answer is not Tony Pollard.
Oh, shit. That's
like 50-50 split, or are we talking like 70-30? What's going on here?
I think there's a chance that the Cowboys just realize, like, hey, Tony Pollard's just so much more explosive. When we can use Ezekiel Elliott as the battering ram on 3rd and short, goal lines, pass protection. But Tony Pollard's the guy that we got to find ways to get 15 touches a game because he just makes our offense that much more explosive. I'll give you a good example, right? It's not a perfect apples-to-apples comparison, but what if the Cowboys eventually go the way like of the Falcons in the early 2000s where they've got Tony Pollard in the Warrick Dunn role and you got Ezekiel Elliott like the TJ Duckett just between the tackles grinder? I think that would make a lot of sense.
That sounds good. That's the first person I heard say that. There's so many Zeke Hive out there that I just see all the.
I hope they're not listening today.
Doubtful.
Doubtful. Not too many people follow us because they know our opinions on it, so they kind of stay away from us.
If they follow us, they know who you are, and I guarantee you they're not following. They're not watching.
I'm sorry, Zeke, guys. Listen. I hope Zeke has a great year. It sounds like from everything we've been reading and seeing, he's in the best shape of his life. It seems like he's slimmed down. I think that's great news for the Cowboys because with this 17-game schedule, you're going to need 2 guys that you really can rely on in the backfield because inevitably one of these guys is going to get hurt. So if we can have a thin, slim, fast Zeke, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like I said, people act like I pull against them. It's not that I pull against them because I do make a lot of Zeke jokes and shit, but it's not. I mean, that's just to irritate the Zeke fans and the running backs matter people. But no, I mean, the better he is, the better we are. I mean, correct. So I would never pull against him or want him not to do good. I mean, like I said, the more productive he is, the better we are.
It's just a matter of the contract, right? Because if things were switched, right, it was Tony Pollard that got $15 million. It was Zeke that was on a rookie deal.
You'd want Zeke.
I think we'd all. I mean, it would be not even close, right? We'd all say, "Hey, Zeke's the better contract. They should make sure they're getting him on the field. But I think just the way it all played out, I think that's why there's some unnecessary ZK.
Yeah, no, that is, and I can't lie. That's a lot of mine. It's just when they paid him, I was just, I literally lost my shit because I'm like, what are y'all doing?
It's not Zeke's fault he got paid. I think he played it perfectly, right? Like he did everything.
Brilliant play. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes,
his agent was.
Agent knocked it out of the park. It's really more of a Cowboys front office thing. Like they should have seen this coming. I really think in 2019 they had this perfect opportunity in the first 3 games of the season where the schedule was so soft. They ended up scoring 30 points in every game in the first 3 weeks that they could have just said, okay, Zeke,
let him sit.
We're going to sit out. Watch Tony Pollard. Let's see what Tony Pollard can do. Because I guarantee you if Tony Pollard starts those 3 games and it has huge numbers like he did when he did play, there's no way that Zeke's getting $15 million, right? Zeke probably comes back and he's playing on that rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's not Zeke's fault. I'll tell everybody I have no problem with Zeke getting it. He got his. I have a problem with our front office giving it to him.
Yes,
and that's what we were saying back then. I didn't think they was going to cave. I honestly thought they're not going to cave. They're going to play this out and show Zeke, hey, we can do this without you. And then last minute they caved, and knowing they caved big. And I was like, Jesus, man, what are y'all doing here?
So, question for you guys: do you think they caved because of what happened in 2015 with not re-signing DeMarco Murray, letting him hit free agency, and then having the awful year?
How could they? They started a running back that went for 1,000 on 10 games.
I listen. I understand that. Darren McFadden was phenomenal, and then listen,
as a one-dimensional team, in my opinion.
And here's the thing that people don't understand: like going into that year, Joseph Randall was the starter, and then once he got
meat on the bone guy,
once Romo was injured in week 2, and then once he got in trouble, things fell apart, and that's why everybody said, well, that's why you can't trust Joseph Randall. That's why you should have paid DeMarco Murray. That's not really the case, right? Because I can guarantee you if Romo would have been playing, like Randall would have been decent. 2 weeks, Joseph Randall would have put up monster numbers like Darren McFadden did the rest of that season because the offensive line was so good. I just wish the Cowboys would have looked at the way that played out because the running game was just as good and would have applied that to Zeke. But I think because they invested the number 4 pick in Zeke, because he was so good early on in his career, because they invested so much in him during the 2017 season when he was going through all the court stuff, I think they just wanted to take care of him. And I think that's going to kind of ultimately hurt this roster in the long run.
Yeah, see, I was surprised by the pick because, see, the 2014 season, when they didn't pay Murray, I thought they showed that they believe in our theory. Running backs don't matter. You don't pay
It's so
them.
weird. So
and
weird.
then and you don't spend high picks on them. But I think you're right. I think they saw the two. They're front office people. They shouldn't see. They should see it. They should be able to see it better. But yeah, no, I think they saw how the season fell apart or supposedly fell apart. And they decided to go out and spend a top pick on a running back. And I just thought that was very disappointing with me because I just thought that season had a lot more to do with a lot of other things than Murray not being there.
I think the front office truly believes that if they would have brought back DeMarco Murray in 2015, they would have been competitive enough to make the playoffs that year.
Not without Romo.
And I agree. Like they've shown
quarterbacks were horrible. I love Moore as offense coordinator, but he had a noodle on him.
Right, and then we've seen in the half decade before that, they couldn't win without Romo. So why did they think having a running back like DeMarco Murray was going to change anything when they literally couldn't win games without Tony Romo before? But I truly think that's what they thought with the DeMarco Murray. They would have been competitive, and I think that's kind of clouded all their decision-making since then.
The only defense I can give them, and this ain't a defense, is just I think they look back on the 90s team. I think they're still in love with that 90s team and how that 90s team was built with Emmett.
I agree.
I think they're focused in on that, and that's what they want. They want to win, and that's just almost impossible to win in the NFL like that again. We had a great running game, probably the best O-line maybe ever. And people don't ever talk about the defense. Hell, that 92 team had the number 1 defense in the NFL. So, that was just a different team. Plus, that team was so talented and so deep. We was like 21 people would play on the defense side of the ball on a consistent basis, rotating in and out. Maybe it was 18 or 19. It was an ungodly number. They was just so deep. Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I went off air. I was like, oh crap, is my Wi-Fi messed up again?
Let's get some low to the chat real quick. Just for all you guys listening and watching out there, I'm not putting up all the comments and stuff. We'll ask Marcus stuff, but we are limited on time, and I wanted to get everything that we wanted to talk about with him out of the way before we start bringing in you guys. But shout out to let's start from the top, man. Marcus D. Jones, we've talked about him. Elazar Mendoza's in the house. Rika moving the chains. Appreciate you checking us out. Sadiqa Charles has said what's up. Let's see here.
I got to give Rika a plug real quick. She does a blog, Marcus, called Rika Moves the Chains.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get a chance, check it out. It's a good blog.
It is very good, guys. Make sure you go ahead and check that out.
Yeah.
Steve Lupton's in the house. Let's see here. Oh, Bluff changed from the YouTube. Oh yeah. So with the Facebook guys, if you're on Facebook, run over to YouTube real quick. I guess with our page going down, we had to switch to the group, and StreamYard is real weird. That's the streaming service we use. It's real weird with the.
Actually, it's not StreamYard. It's Facebook that doesn't allow it.
Oh, yeah, right. And so Facebook doesn't allow groups. You have to go in and do a bunch of crap. So just jump over to the YouTube channel if you want to comment to get your name and stuff out there. There was a good question that was. Let me scroll up here.
Well, before we get that question, we'll move on to the next subject, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
We shared a lot of the same opinions on that one too. Imagine that. I said in September 20th in 2020, last year, that by the end of the season, CeeDee Lamb was going to be our number one wide receiver. Now, with that said, Dak got hurt, and I think it put a little bit of a pause on that. But I'm going with it again, that by the end of the year, CeeDee Lamb would be our number one wide receiver, and I don't think there even would be a debate about it. Give us your thoughts, Marcus.
I don't think there's a debate. I think he will at some point be their number one receiver in 2021. It's just, when is it? Is it by week 17, week 18? Is it week 8 or 9, or is it in week 1? Because I think there's a legitimate chance by week 1, there's just no doubt that he's the best receiver on the team, because coming into the 2020 draft, listen, I said he was the best wide receiver prospect since Amari Cooper to enter the NFL draft. Cooper, I still think, is a phenomenal player, but he's getting older. He's got a lot of lower leg injuries, so it wouldn't be shocking if he loses even just a couple percentage points from his overall ability. Again, still an incredible player, but CeeDee Lamb is ascending, and I think he's got superstar written all over him. Before Dak went down, the first 5 games of the season, CeeDee Lamb was on pace for 1,400 yards. I think with him being this super dynamic slot option who could also move to the outside,
that's what
I think it's very realistic that he's a 1,400 yards receiver this year, and he leads this team in touchdowns, and he leads this team in yards per reception, and he leads them in catches. So I think as long as CeeDee stays healthy and as long as Dak stays healthy, we are going to see a huge year from him. And I do think he will be the consensus wide receiver 1 on this team at some point this year.
Yeah, my prediction was a little bit different. I just had him as the starting X. Do you see him getting slid out more and bringing Cooper inside at all this year? Or at least more than
I kind of don't. I don't, because I think the Cowboys are very interested in using Michael Gallup as the X receiver this year too. He's got the most size, right? And I think he can handle the physicality from that position. I think they like using Amari as the kind of the Z guy. They can be in motion, that they can move around a little bit. I also think he's the smartest receiver on the team, so he can handle a lot of that pre-snap stuff. He's so good at reading coverages. I kind of want him in that role. And then with CeeDee, I just think playing him in the slot just amplifies all his greatest strengths. Like, he's so good after the catch. He's so wiry and flexible that, Dak could throw a back shoulder fade from the slot 18 yards down the field, and he can go and grab it. And there's just not very many slot receivers in the league that can do that. I'm going to give you guys a stat. All right? This is a really nerdy stat, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can.
We love nerdy stuff.
We love it.
Yeah. On passes between 15 and 20 yards between the hashes or in the middle of the field last year, no player in NFL history averaged more EPA per play than CeeDee Lamb. What that basically tells you is when the Cowboys are throwing the ball down the seam, there was nobody better in NFL history than CeeDee Lamb. And we only got to see that with 5 games from Dak. And that's with 4 different quarterbacks. If we see that through the entire 17-game schedule with Dak, like I said, he is going to not only put up huge numbers, he's also going to be crazy, crazy efficient.
Yeah. Man, we got running backs don't matter mention, and we got EPA mention. Can you believe it? Because our show is going to be based on analytics when we start the during season. We're big analytic guys. EPA, CPOE, WAR, air yards, just everything that does with analytics is what we'll be based on, which not everybody loves, but I love it.
CD, EDP, EPA God.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Man, I'm going to blow this league up this year. It's going to be a thing, Rocket says. We agree. All right. We'll move on to, we got about 3 minutes left. That'll be enough time for you to talk about your expectations of the overall defense. We won't get in detail of each player, Parsons. If we had more time, we would. But overall, just expectations of what you think the defense is going to do.
It's not going to be a great defense. I don't think anybody's expecting them to be top 10 or 12. And that's okay, right? They brought in Dan Quinn because he runs a really simple scheme that allows players to play fast. And that's really all they need. Like if this defense is somewhere between the 13th and 18th ranked defense in the league, they're going to win the NFC East by like 3 games. They just are, because the offense is going to be that good. I still think if they finish between like 19 and 25, they're probably still winning the NFC East. My concern is they have a couple positions on defense where if one guy gets injured, I'm not sure they have the depth to back it up. So really quickly, if Trevon Diggs gets hurt, I don't feel great about any other outside cornerback on this team, whether it's Kelvin Joseph as a rookie, whether it's Nahshon Wright as a rookie, having to use Anthony Brown on the outside. I just think they're going to be in a lot of trouble if Diggs goes down. Likewise for DeMarcus Lawrence. If Tank goes down for any point in time, they don't have the depth on the defensive line that they had last year to make up for that. So they really need those guys to stay healthy. Plus, they need a lot of these young guys, whether it's Micah Parsons, Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore. They need 2 or 3 of these guys to really step up. And I do think that's going to happen. I think we're going to get some surprise performances. But again, the goal for this defense, finish somewhere in the middle of the pack, and they're going to be just fine.
That's what we figured. I figured 15-18 would be good.
We'll take that. If you could sign me right up for the 17th ranked defense in the league right now, sign me up all day.
Yeah. Basically answered the questions I had about it.
Yeah. But no,
basically confidence level, because consensus in analytics world, right, is that, average, above average defense, and you got a shot. So I was just going to ask your confidence level.
Here's why I do think they'll have an advantage of the quarterbacks they play this year.
Not impressive.
After the first 2 weeks of the season when you play Tom Brady and Justin Herbert, it's really not great. And we know that if you're looking at the analytics, that how good your defense is really dependent on the quarterback that you play every week, right?
Yep.
There's some stretches in here where the quarterback play for the opposing team, I think, is going to be really, really poor. So if they can feast on these bad quarterbacks and just kind of survive against the Justin Herberts and the Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, they're going to be all right.
That's where we stand on it.
Yeah.
I have them losing. I actually have them losing the first 2 games.
I think it's certainly possible, right? Like I think everybody assumes they're going to lose to Tampa Bay in week 1, and that's fine. It's Tampa Bay playing in the ring ceremony game. I get it.
Everybody's coming back.
Yeah, week 2 against the Chargers is going to be difficult because that team is really explosive. The offensive line is good. We'll see what their defense looks like if Derwin James can come back healthy. The good news is weeks 3 to 9, pretty good. I think they can go on a little bit of a run there.
Yeah, I have them. I can't remember, Zach. I have them 0-2. Then I have them going 7-1 over their next 8 or something like that. I have them going on a big run after that. Yeah, I have them finishing 11-6 for the season. So
yeah, their late season schedule isn't all that difficult either. It's a lot of divisional games. They play the Raiders on Thanksgiving. They should win those games. But it's surviving the first few weeks and getting off to a quick start. I think that'll really help them if they can do that.
Well, but they play the Eagles that Monday Night Football game. Me and my son is going to that one, so they got to win that one.
You guys might be able to catch a pass from Jalen Hurts in that game.
That's funny.
I might be able to.
Yeah, so we're kind of handicapped from week 1 to week 2, right? Because we're going from East Coast to the West Coast, right? We're on the road both of those games, so I could see where you kind of feel like that's going to be a tough matchup. Plus Herbert's balling, so
now you do get a little bit of
a 10-day rest in there.
Sure,
so.
You do get the 10-day rest, so that'll help a little bit with the travel, but it's never easy to go out and play on the West Coast at any time.
Sure.
No, that's part of the reason why I had us losing that game, and then people point out we had a 10-day rest, and that does help, but still, just going to West Coast, it always seems to bother teams.
It should be home field advantage for us, though.
It should be. Come on, Cowboy fans. Make sure
I don't know any Chargers fans.
Yes, fill up that stadium.
There's like 4.
It should be. That's a nice stadium, though.
Nice.
It's a really nice stadium. All right, Marcus.
Well, this game.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, let you go real quick. What's your take on Lamb returning punts?
Oh, yes. I don't know if I want to hear this because this might be where we disagree and I'm going to look stupid.
I like to have good players do good things on the football field, right?
Yes.
Like CD is a fantastic punt returner.
Especially
he knows how to protect his body. He'll be fine.
If he's going to see 60% of the snaps, then give him the ball and punt return.
Yeah. Well, and I think the Cowboys have traditionally been pretty wise about how to do this. Like, there's certain times where it doesn't make sense to have him out there, right? Like, now if the teams are pinned back, in their own end zone and they're punting and the ball is going to be at the 50-yard line, that's what I want Lamb returning punts. But if it's just a situation where I need somebody to make a fair catch and I don't want to put him out there for any extra snaps, that's fine. Let Cedric Wilson do it. But in the big parts of the game, that's when I want CD returning these punts.
Well, that's shocking and surprising because that's where I stand. I've gone back and forth with many people about the injury risk, and I'm like, that practice where he went over Brown and came down wrong and kind of cringed and kind of limped off, I worry about that more than I do him returning punts.
Yes.
I worry about him going up, coming down road, going up, a defender knocks his legs out from under him, falls on his shoulder, breaks his shoulder. That's what I'm worried about. Him as a punt return, like you said, you can protect yourself, and it's not, you protect yourself, and a lot of the runs are to the outside anyways, not many just go straight up the middle.
Yep.
So I know a lot of people bring Dez up, but Dez came back and returned for 2 years. He still returned punts. 2011, 2012.
I would say use him in the same way that you use Terrence Newman, right? Like in the early 2000s, right? Remember when they used to use Newman in certain situations,
right?
And it was Patrick Creighton doing all the other returns. Right. That's the way I'd like to see the breakdown between CeeDee Lamb and like Cedric Wilson.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, that I wouldn't have an issue with that. That'd probably even be better than what I was saying. Yeah. All right. Well, Marcus, we'll get you out of here. You got any big plans for the 4th of July weekend, Bubba?
Just gonna be smoking on my grill. I've got, I think,
drinking out your running backs don't matter mug.
Yeah, drinking out of the running backs don't matter mug. Get the Weber smoker going. Do some ribs. Maybe do some brisket if we're feeling ambitious this weekend. But it's gonna be just a nice, relaxing weekend. Playing some golf, hanging out.
All right.
Awesome. Are you scratch golfer?
No, listen, not the way I played today. That's certainly not the truth. There's days where I hit them well. Today was not one of them.
Not one of them, huh? All right, man.
Keep working on your game. We appreciate you doing this for us. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you're on again. We appreciate it, man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, on. And as always, remember, running backs don't matter.
You want to tell people where to follow you at, Marcus? Or
yes, at Marcus_Mosier. Check me out at the Raiders Wire, but most importantly, Locked On Cowboys, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts.
Y'all go subscribe to that. It's a great one.
Salute, sir. Marcus. Thank you.
Thanks,
you be
guys.
Good, Bubba. We'll see you on Twitter.
See it?
God damn, that was like fucking porn football, and I need a fucking cigarette.
Let's get to these comments. I know we've been neglecting everybody.
I got all fucking flustered a couple of times. It's like, God damn. Because not flustered because I'm nervous because who he is. Flustered because he was agreeing. It just, like Marcus said earlier when he was talking, Marcus Jones.
It's like, this is Charlie talking.
He
the
said,
last 4 or 5 years.
Because he fucking said everything when we tried to tell him, how do you explain it in small version on Twitter? Well, fuck, he didn't because he says the same thing I did.
Yeah.
You can't, it's fucking simple. People just fucking listen. and just stop getting the goddamn the fucking run truthers, dude. I swear I want to slap the shit out of them.
Hey, look, it's from the group. It's showing his name. He must have went through all the deals. Marcus says I pushed his podcast back to hear you guys. Appreciate the love, man. What time does your
dude? Yeah. Hey, and speaking of that, hey, I ain't gonna lie to you, Marcus. If you're still listening, if he might be off already, because I think his show is going already.
Yeah.
I'll tell him about it later. But anyways, tell everybody else. When I saw he was going live at 7:30, I messaged Eric. I said, why is Marcus going live at 7:30?
Yeah, usually they're later, right?
And he said, and Eric said, well, it's his night. I said, well, no, I'm not talking about his fucking night. I'm talking about the time.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, I don't know. I said, I thought it was always 8:30. And I was like, shit, I don't want him going live. I mean, I first of all, because I want to watch his shit. I don't want to get off here and then I miss half his show. I was like, shit, why is he going live at 7:30? You know, and I wanted him to come on here and watch a little bit of this.
New guys, Ed and Eddie's Silver and Blue.
Bluff.
Check out their
He said I
podcast.
pushed
It's a
it back at
father-son
8
deal.
p.m. He pushed it back to 8. Well, I appreciate that, Bluff. Like I said, it wasn't just for you to watch this. I wanted to watch your shit, and I didn't want to miss yours, and that's why I was like, well, shit, we're going to be on at the same time. We're not going to get to see fucking Bluff tonight.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up real quick. I just want
Bluff's
to
my boy. You're my boo. You're my boo, Bluff.
Ed and Eddie's Silver and Blue says, in hindsight, signing Zeke for that much is probably a secret regret Jerry has. I don't think Jerry regrets anything he ever done, ever. Even with Jimmy and all that shit, I don't think he regrets anything. He's quadrillionaire, right? I don't care. I don't think he regrets any of that. For me, though, I meant to get Marcus's opinion on this, since he thinks that maybe by, what do you say, week 5, week 6, that TP might be handling most of the carries or most of the touches. If, Steven and Jerry are really hard to, because you have Steven and you never know what the fuck he's going to do, who he's going to pay, what he's going to pay. And then Jerry with the trump card can always stand in and make the final decision and tell Steven to back down. So you never know. It's really hard to predict what the Cowboys are going to do as far as salary cap, right? Who's getting paid, who's not. So with Mosher thinking that TP might be getting, even if it's 50-50, is that a sign that we're going to get away from Zeke next year? Right? Because everything's guaranteed this year, right? That's not something that's possible this year. But you think that maybe they can get away from Zeke next year?
Well, you know how I am about the cap. You get the fuck away from any player you want. I mean, there's never an excuse not to get away from a player. I mean, I'll give you a fucking example.
Yeah, but we don't want to Bobby Bonilla that shit and pay him.
Yeah, I know, but that's baseball. Fucking, that's guaranteed contracts and stupid shit happens over there. And I'll give you an example. Look how the Rams treat their players. They sign them, then they like, okay, we fucked this up. Not only are we going to take dead money on, we're not even going to get no cap space from it. We're actually going to take a cap hit. We're going to lose cap space for cutting or trading this guy, and we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
We'll do it because we know it's a bad contract, and we got to get the fuck out from underneath it. Because this is what never makes sense for me about the cap. And people are like, well, let's cut him next year when we save more cap space. Okay, yeah, but you're fucking paying him this year. So you're still fucking, I mean, you save next year, but if you cut him this year, you save next year also. Yeah. You got to get, I'm not saying for Zeke on this one. I'm just talking about overall. That's how the Rams' philosophy is. You can keep the player, say, well, let's pay him $30 million this year, and the next year we can save, $20 million. Well, that's just dumb. Yeah. You're going to save that money next year if you cut him this year. And that's how the Rams do it. I mean, look, they got rid of Numbnuts, their running back. They lost cap space on that. They traded fucking
early.
Yeah, they traded dipshit to fucking the Lions. They ate all kinds of dead money for that. Cooks, they traded Cooks. I mean, that was three huge contracts they gave out, and they didn't give a shit. They cut him a year later or 2 years later.
Well, they picked up the kid that was out of Memphis, the guy that was running with TP, didn't they? Mm-hmm. He went in the first round, I believe they picked him.
Yeah. Well,
so they had,
Lumpton says that Jones hate dead money. And they do, but that
just means that there was a mistake made, and I think those dudes.
And it's
really
not just the Joneses; it's the whole NFL. And I'm waiting for a team to really fucking realize go with a different philosophy on treating the cap. Like restructures are not fucking bad, dude. It's like a fucking interest-free loan. I mean, if you restructure a player over a 4-year contract, That's not bad because he's going to play that year. So he's going to pay back a quarter of that loan that you took out in that 1 year. He's probably going to play that second year too. Then he's done paid half the loan back. And this is what I've always said. And I ain't good at math, so I'm not going to try to do the math so somebody else can get a fucking calculator out and do this. If you restructure $20 million of a contract, you take that $20 million and spread it out over 5 years, over 4 years. That's $5 million in each of them years. Okay? Okay, then you cut them after, say you cut them after 1 year. And so all 15 of that million, the rest of that comes back up to that cap that year. Now take that cap and what the percentage of that cap is compared to what it would have been the second. And it's a lower percentage of the cap. That $20 million, if you didn't restructure on a $200 million cap, is X amount of percentage.
Right.
That $15 million that next year on even a higher cap is even less a percentage of the cap. So you're actually helping it out by not, you're kind of pushing that back when the cap's going up. The cap keeps going up and up and up. I mean, it didn't this year, I know, but that was a
COVID.
pandemic.
Right.
But it keeps going up and up and up. What that percentage, that restructures, just lowers the percentage of that money. What that money's going to count against the cap. And I don't understand why people freak. I damn sure don't understand why owners freak out about it. And I say I don't understand why fans freak out about it, but I do because they listen to owners. When you got a dipshit owner and a fucking son of an owner who, I don't even know what the fuck his title is, Stephen Jones, but I can guarantee you there's no other person in the NFL.
Player,
what the fuck ever it is. That's my point. I don't even know what the fuck his title is. But yet he has a radio show every fucking week. Name me one fucking person, one person with his title that has a radio show. In fact, tell me this. Name me one person that has his title on any fucking team. Any team.
I'm sure
we follow the Eagles, we follow the Giants, we follow the Redskins because they're our division. Name me that fucking motherfucker without Googling it, assholes. Name me that motherfucker that with that title. Nobody can. And then we got an owner and a GM that has a radio show. How many GMs in the NFL or owners have a radio show every week? They talk. That's all they talk. They talk and they talk and they talk and they talk about so much pie. There's only so much pie we can give. There's only so much pie. Motherfucker, you can create pie. You can make more pie. That if that pie has 5 pieces, you can make a 10-piece pie with that. You don't have to fucking, it's easy to do. And I don't understand why they fucking don't even get, that cap shit pisses me off more than running backs don't matter.
Steve
makes no goddamn sense. And then restructures, everybody just thinks restructures, oh, you're just pushing it down the road. You're just pushing it down the road. And then people use the Eagles and the Saints this past year. 2 things about that. First of all, there's a once lifetime pandemic that dropped the shit out of the salary cap that didn't help. Second of all is, I tell people this all the time, it's not the contract, it's not the money of the contract that fucks the cap up. It's the player you give it to. Okay? You can give one player $15 million and it'd be a good deal. You can give another player $15 million and it's a fucked up deal. That's what fucks your cap up. It's the player you give it to. If you give it to a good player, it ain't gonna mess your cap up. You know? I mean, look at fucking Tyron Smith. I mean, that motherfucker's been restructuring for fucking years. Contract, and he just keeps doing it. Zach Martin, the same thing. You know, if he would have gave Zach Martin's contract to name another guard that's paid for us, then it would have been a fucked up contract. And it would have fucked our cap up. Because we would have had to done something about it. Or ate it on a bad player. But Zach Martin getting no big deal.
Marcus says, Stephen Jones, Executive VP of Coupons and Mediocrity.
But yeah, no, it pisses me off. People, I can have a running backs don't matter conversation with less F-bombs than I can with the fucking cat one. Because that just pisses me off even more. Yeah. Because first of all, it's not our money. So, you know, that's what people tell me all the time. It's not your money. Why do you care?
It's not Stevens either. And the fact that he's the son, why does he have a problem spending that shit? It's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really you know me, and you're kind of the same way. I'm not big on going out and spending a lot of money in free agency like a lot of fans are. Yeah. I don't have too much of an issue how they do free agency. I do wish they was a little bit more aggressive. You know, maybe every once in a while, maybe go get that top tier player and overpay him because you're going to have to overpay him. And this is another thing I try to explain to fans. Y'all want that shit. Y'all want that smoke. Y'all want all them badass free agents. Mm-hmm. All right. I want to remind you of a fucking man named Carr. All right. He got that fucking smoke. He got $50 million, and y'all was all happy about it when he got it. And within fucking 5 games, y'all was talking about he's a fucking bust and he sucks and shit like that. And for 5 years, however long he played with the 7 years, I heard shit all the time about him.
But I've been defending him for that long.
Was he overpaid? Yes, no. He was overpaid. That's what you do in free agency.
He got paid for the work he did in Kansas City as a cover man, press corner, and we went and played cover 2, off the ball, zone bullshit. That's why he sucked.
Yeah, but he didn't even suck, Eric. That's my point. He didn't suck. I mean, he wasn't a bad corner.
We were just mad at he wasn't 50, however many millions.
But that's the point. It's very rarely do you sign a free agent and a tier 1 free agent, and very rarely are they going to pay off with the money that you give them, because the whole purpose to getting a free agents for players is for have multiple teams fucking bid on them to fucking get the price higher. That's why teams, smart fucking teams, unlike the Cowboys, sign their players a year or 2 years earlier to get that money down, to get them at a good deal. Then knowing that every year you fucking waste, that price keeps going up. You know, like Dak.
Sure.
Fucking when this shit started with Dak, everybody's like, oh yeah, $30 million, that's the most he should get. Motherfucker just got $40 fucking million a year. So, and if they would have signed him coming out of 2018, they probably could have got him from 32 million.
32, yeah.
You know, Aaron Rodgers was 33.5 at the time. Mm-hmm. Just say fuck it, bite the bullet, and fucking do something stupid, as far as the fans would have been said, pay him $34 million. Give him more than Aaron Rodgers. People would have lost their shit. But you know what? Right now, they'd be like, damn, $34 million wasn't fucking bad fucking deal for us. That's how it is. It's not going to go down. That's why I didn't understand why the Cowboys kept putting shit off of Dak. Like, that fucking price is going to go down. Like, oh, you're offering $32 million, so you're going to wait till next year and you think he's going to take $32 million? Everything goes up.
Not only that, but I mean, you're with the tag, you're fucking guaranteeing him a top 5 salary in the fucking league. You're going to pay that anyway. Why? You're not going to pay that if you sign him to, give him a contract. You're not paying that much guaranteed. It would be a lot less. And he's what 2 tags or whatever, and how much has he made in guaranteed money so far with the contract?
Who?
Dak.
Oh, he $75 million and $99 million over the first 2 years or some bullshit. Then when you add the $35 million they paid him last year,
and the tag, yeah,
it's ungodly. I should remember the numbers, because remember before he got signed, I guessed that contract, and I hit that motherfucker almost on a button. I was $1 million off, I think, on the fully guaranteed. I think he got 99. I think I said he was going to get 98 or some bullshit like that. I can't remember. I was right on the money with his contract. I kind of bragged a little bit about it, but that was luck, because I'm not good at guessing contracts. Eric knows that. I usually suck ass.
Hey, you're my cap guy. Just go to your cap guy.
Yeah, I can't do that very often.
You still in Cowboy Zone? I mean, yeah. What's it called?
Cowboy Zone. CowboyZone.com.
Yeah.
No, not much, man. If anybody's saying I'm not knocking it, I'm not gonna come on the show and fucking like fucking sites on fire and talk. Well, maybe some, but fucking I'm not trying to light it on fire. It's not what it used to be. I'm very rarely in there. I got in there in 2002. Dude, that's how long I've been in there, for almost 20 fucking years. And back then it was great, all the way up to probably about 2017, 2018. It just, something happened. I don't know what happened, but the older members stopped posting as much. It just kind of started going downhill. And about a year ago, I messaged one of the admins, moderators in there, and I told him, hey, man, I'm not trying to be a dick. I was like, but this site's went to shit. I was like, and I was explaining, like, people would have kept posting the same shit, but they worded different. Like, Dak sucks. And then the next one was like, does Dak suck? And the next one was, why Dak suck? I'm like, it's the same goddamn thing over and over again. Yeah. And he admitted, he said, yeah, we have had a lot of complaints. We're trying to do some things to change it up. That was a year ago, and I haven't seen no changes. But overall, I still go there every once in a while. It's just, I don't know. I got out of it for some reason. A lot of it had to do with our group. Our group was so good.
Yeah.
The start, and I just was more involved in that than I was anything else. But they had some good cap guys over there. That's where I learned the cap.
I just don't like the format.
That's where I met Adam JT. That's who got me to learn the cap, Adam JT. Because, a little quick story, and then we'll get off here and go watch Marcus. He used to come on CowboyZone.com. This is years and years and fucking years ago. This is back before OTC was even really popular. Nobody really knew who they were. I didn't even know what the fuck OTC was. Over the cap, for people who don't know that. And he worked for him and shit. Well, that dude would come on, and his cap knowledge was so fucking good that people actually thought he was Stephen Jones fucking coming on there and giving us updates and shit. I mean, seriously, that's how tight it was. And finally, this guy Hostile, that was a big moderator over there, he's like, I can't tell you who he is, and I don't know. I'm looking back, I don't know why he couldn't. He said, I can't tell you who he is, but he's not Stephen Jones. But that's how good he was. And his fucking he wrote for OTC and he did the comp picks. He's the one that estimated comp picks, and that dude would fucking hit the comp picks on 99%. Yeah. And I was like, I kept thinking, man, this dude has to work for the Cowboys.
That's Steven.
He has to work for the NFL.
Wasn't it rumored, right? Everybody thought it was Steven or some shit.
Yeah, and then I was like, he has to work for the NFL or something. But then once I discovered OTC, I'm like, oh, well, shit. OTC does a lot. Not knocking Adam JT, that motherfucker still knows the in and outs of the.
Sure.
He don't need to go look at OTC to give you an answer. You ask him a question, he'll fucking type it in right away. He don't need to go look and get a calculator like I do and hit cut June 1, cut June 2. That motherfucker has it all in his head. He's good. He's real fucking good.
I thought you used an abacus or something.
Abacus? What the
abacus?
Fuck is that?
That little fucking
abacus.
Sliding bead bullshit.
I don't even know what the fuck that is, dude.
Prior to calculators, bro, they used abacus.
Oh, yeah. Damn, dude, you just made me look like a dummy on live air, dude.
You do that all by yourself, man.
You trying to do that? Yeah. I'm glad you did good on the intro, dude. Actually,
I kind of studied it too.
The whole time.
You wanted to
I was
rip
like,
me,
dude,
huh?
the whole time I just fucked this up, dude. Fuck it up so I can do 5 minutes of just fucking railroading you, talking about how it's fucking I fucked up. You did the
I would
show.
have been so butthurt, bro, with Mosier on the fucking show. Oh man. Anyways, Bluff says no. Keep it up. Great dialogue, dude.
But no, I'm glad Mosier came on. And hopefully he'll do it again.
Charlie says we need to start recording like the shit we talk about before we go on air, just because it's just let's shoot the shit.
Eventually
we'll probably make like a behind the scenes video or something like that. Yeah, eventually
because me and Eric come on about 30 minutes before we even come on live and just bullshit. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to fucking record. I'm going to do it for like about a month. What I might do? I might do it for every show from here on out. And then I'll put together a video before the season starts behind the scenes. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And that should be good. Because I'll have to edit some of it. Because some of it, even though we're uncensored, some of it I can't put out there. Because
you can be uncensored, but you can't be raunchy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. There's some shit that's beyond uncensored and would probably get us kicked off YouTube.
Inappropriate as fuck. Locker room talk.
Yeah, it would get us kicked off YouTube. Fucking Twitter would ban us if I posted it there. So,
anyways, man, we're coming up on the hour mark. Let's slide out of here, man.
Slide out, and we'll go.
Do us a favor.
Watch my boo bluff.
If you're new to the show, go to the page or go to the group or check us out on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, hit the notifications. Yeah, that's it, man. We thank everybody for showing up and supporting us and commenting and keeping the show going. We had a blast today with one of our guys that we follow. So. Yeah, appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. Charlie, got anything?
That's what. No, yeah, not at all. I just, like I said, I didn't talk that much, which is unusual because I used to talk. But when we have guests on like that, I'm not going to say much. When we had Riker on, because when I bring people on, that it's their show. Now, if we do a collab with Bluff, that's different. We'll all be involved. But when we bring a guest on, like Riker or fucking Marcus, we're going to do one in a couple of weeks with Kelly Nine and Ryan Shady off of Twitter. Now that's not going to be. I don't even know when the fuck that's going to turn out. So y'all need to watch it because it might.
I think we're bringing booze to that one.
Yeah, I'm going to drink for the first time in 2.5 years for the show.
And we got to get some. We got to get some K9 Jerry.
Yeah, we got to get some. Yeah, if y'all don't follow him, he does a Jerry Jones impersonation. And
oh my god, go great. Follow now.
Yeah, and. But yeah, we're bringing them on, and that one I'll talk a lot because even though they're a guest, that's going to be kind of just four dudes. Just it's going to be football, but it's probably going to fucking spin off on a bunch of other shit too. It should be fun. It's our last show before we start training camp and get into the serious shit. So we figured, fuck it, let's have some fun with the last one, and before we have to get serious and start talking about EPA and CPOE and fucking.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on some. Visual aids because a lot of this I know I'm a visual learner, so I need to see what the fuck you're talking about.
We'll do a show right before the season start, since like especially that last week there's no game for 10 days.
Yeah.
and even the last 2 weeks going to be slow just because the last game is all fucking backups trying to make the team. We'll get together then. Me and you'll talk about it. We'll put together about what EPA is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to try to explain it. I mean, I'll explain it, but I'm going to do a lot of screenshots of articles explaining like, you know what I might do? I might get Ben Baldwin to email him and see if he would actually explain it, you know, in a simplistic version of stuff. I might do that. But anyways, we'll try to see it so people who don't understand it, we're not trying to say you're dumb, just not a lot of people fucking understand.
It's just hard. It's hard. Yeah, it's
what
not
I'm trying to do.
I want
people to jump on the analytics side. My goal is every year, and Eric's heard me say this, is to turn one person. Not running backs, just turn one person that's anti-analytic, turn them into analytic. And I've done it for 3 years straight. I've turned at least one person. That's what I try to do. Just talk about it, tell you how it is, because like I said, I've told the story in the short version. I was not analytic. I hated them. They was fucking nerds. Fuck them. You don't play football behind a computer screen and all that shit. Yeah. Until a drunk driver hit me and I was forced in the hospital bed and I was like, fuck it, let me read up on this shit. And I was like, holy shit, I found heaven. And I fell in love, and that's how it went. So that's what I want to do to people, to try to fucking convince them, hey man, this is good shit. Low key, he thinks we're dumb, and he's not wrong. I've seen us, not bright.
Yeah, he'll say one thing on the show, but he means y'all are dumb as shit, is what he's thinking.
Well, hey, Ed, I didn't even see Eddie, and Silver and Blue.
Yeah. So
what the fuck? What's up, dudes? That's another one we're going to try to get them. We have a lot of guests coming on.
That's a father and son show. Go check them out.
Yeah, go check that out on YouTube.
They're doing it right. So
they do a little short, 15-minute, and just it's father and son, which right there is cool as shit for me. I couldn't get my son on because he knows how much I talk shit to Eric. That's how I talk shit to my son, and he would just get up and leave like, fucking, I ain't dealing with this shit. But yeah, no, it's a cool show. Y'all go check it out. We're going to try to get with them after Kelly 9 and Ryan, and we're going to try to hook up with them. They're also, I know they're going to do something with Bluff too, with Marcus D. Jones.
I was going to say we got to give it Bluff too, because
we're doing Bluff next. Yeah, we're doing Bluff next week. We're doing K9 and them next, and then after that, we'll try to do something with Silver and Blue with the father and son show. That'll be cool to do. But I think they're going to do something with Bluff before that, you know, or maybe we'll all get together. We'll figure it out. Anyways, we're getting the fuck up out of here. I'm off like a prom dress. Y'all have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.